Welcome to the deep dive. You know that feeling, right? You're hours into a literature review, maybe drowning in PDFs, just trying to connect all these different ideas.
Oh, yeah. That needle in a haystack moment. It's incredibly frustrating.
Exactly. Well, today we're aiming to cut through all of that. We're looking at Google's Gemini,
Hmm.
and specifically how it taps directly into Google's huge search and knowledge base. We think this could seriously slash your initial research time.
We're talking potentially 40, maybe even 50% reduction in that early slog.
Which completely transforms how you synthesize all that information, how you generate, genuinely new insights.
Absolutely.
So our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear. We want to unpack how Gemini can become, well, like an essential intellectual partner for anyone needing to navigate just vast amounts of data.
Yeah, a real collaborator.
We'll look at its main functions, pinpoint where it really stands out from the competition, and crucially, talk about best practices.
Which is vital. Professional, responsible use is key here.
By the end, you should really see the tangible value it adds, all the way from speeding up that literature review to sparking your next big idea. So let's get into it.
Okay. So what's truly revolutionary here, I think, isn't just that it's another AI tool you can use.
Right, there are lots of those popping up.
Exactly. Gemini's core strength, its real differentiator, is that native connection. It's plugged right into Google's massive information ecosystem.
Okay, so that's what sets it apart from, say, other AI models, those isolated LLMs you hear about.
Precisely. Many large language models, or LLMs, primarily generate text based on the data they were trained on. They don't necessarily have live access to query the web in the same integrated way.
So Gemini isn't operating in a kind of closed box. It's actively pulling from and making sense of the live internet in real time.
That's the idea. It's filtering and synthesizing information constantly.
That sounds like a pretty profound shift. We go from just feeling overwhelmed by information, that information overload.
Which is a real thing. Sociologist Bertram Gross actually coined that term way back in 1964. He talked about the heavy cognitive cost it imposes on us.
Right. And Gemini helps us move towards something more like cognitive amplification. Is that the term?
Exactly. Cognitive amplification. It's a concept people like David Engelbart explored the idea of technology extending our intellectual capacity. Gemini acts a bit like an external cognitive filter.
Helping you process and understand stuff at a scale that was, well, pretty much impossible before.
It's the potential, yes.
Those efficiency gains you mentioned, that 40–50% time saving on initial literature collection and synthesis, that's staggering. But how do we make sure we're not just getting faster at, say, confirming our own biases?
That's a really critical question, a valid concern.
Or maybe missing important nuances if we rely too much on AI for that first pass?
Yeah, the goal isn't just speed for speed's sake. It's
Oh.
about empowering higher-order thinking.
Okay.
By automating some of those more mechanical tasks, the collecting, the initial sorting, you free up your human intellect, your brain power.
For the deeper stuff, critical analysis.
Exactly. And for generating more robust, maybe more diverse hypotheses and conceptual frameworks, the AI can map out a wider landscape much faster. But you are still the one interpreting that map.
So you're the cartographer.
You're the cartographer. You're connecting the dots in unique ways, spotting the gaps, deciding where to explore further.
That makes sense. It's about using its power to elevate our contribution, not just replace it.
Precisely.
Okay, so how does it actually deliver on that promise? Let's maybe open up Gemini's toolkit, look at the specific functionalities across the research workflow.
Absolutely. Let's dive in. One of its most powerful applications is definitely in advanced literature search and synthesis. It goes way beyond just typing in a few keywords.
Oh, I remember the days. Maybe still for some folks. The stacks of printouts, highlighter pens, trying to manually map out themes across like a dozen different articles. It felt like an archaeological dig sometimes.
Totally. It was painstaking. So imagine this instead.
Yeah.
You prompt Gemini with something quite specific, like generate a list of the key concepts, seminal theorists, and current debates surrounding the circular economy in the fashion industry.
Okay.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. Gemini won't just spit out a list. It aims to explain the interconnections between those concepts, how the ideas evolved. It gives you a structured overview almost instantly.
That's a huge leap in just getting oriented in a new field or topic. And you mentioned it can synthesize across multiple documents too.
Exactly. This is incredibly useful. You can upload, say, several academic PDFs, maybe 3 articles on the effects of climate change on food security.
Right.
And then you ask it, synthesize the common methodological findings and the main discrepancies between these three articles.
Wow, okay.
This just dramatically accelerates what would normally take days, maybe even weeks, of really careful reading and comparison. It frees you up to focus on the implications, the nuances, the next steps.
I can absolutely see the value there. It's immense. But for someone listening who might be thinking, okay, but am I just outsourcing my brain here? What's our role when so much of that initial synthesis is, well, automated?
That's fair. Think of it like this. Your role shifts. You become more like a conductor of an orchestra.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Gemini provides the score, maybe even tunes the instruments, but you're still the one guiding the performance, interpreting the piece, deciding which sections need emphasis, bringing out the unique sound.
So I'm scrutinizing the AI's output, looking for gaps, using it as a launchpad for my own critical thinking.
Precisely. It's a starting point, a powerful accelerator, but not the final word. You're always in the driver's seat for the critical analysis and the deeper dives.
Got it. Okay, so moving beyond just understanding what's already out there, the existing literature, Gemini can also act as a brainstorming partner, right? For generating new ideas or refining arguments.
Absolutely. And importantly, an impartial one. We all get stuck in our own thought patterns sometimes.
Guilty as charged. We develop blind spots.
We do. Gemini is like having a dedicated, tireless collaborator who doesn't have those same biases or attachments to a particular idea.
So how does that work in practice?
Well, it can help you generate alternative research hypotheses you hadn't considered. It can help identify potential weaknesses or blind spots in an argument you're building. It can even suggest appropriate research methodologies for a specific question you're wrestling with.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about prompting it with something like, based on current generative AI trends, generate 5 original research questions suitable for a doctoral thesis in the field of digital ethics.
And it would give you diverse starting points.
Exactly. It provides different angles, different perspectives, often without the kind of judgment or filtering we might apply ourselves initially. It really helps break through creative blocks or just ensures you've considered a wider range of possibilities.
That's incredibly powerful, especially for ensuring you've covered all the angles before diving deep into a project. But, okay, it's not just about synthesizing knowledge or sparking ideas, is it? You mentioned it also helps make sense of raw data itself.
That's correct. Data interpretation is another key area. You can potentially provide a data set, maybe text, maybe even an image in some cases, and ask Gemini to identify trends, correlations, or anomalies, outliers.
So like analyzing sales figures?
Yeah, for instance, you could provide a time series of sales data and ask, analyze the following sales time series and suggest 3 potential seasonal factors that could explain the observed peaks and troughs.
Okay, that's interesting. What about for people who code? Like analysts using Python or R?
That's a big one. Gemini can generate, explain, and even help debug code for statistical analyses or creating visualizations. It knows how to work with common libraries like pandas, matplotlib in Python, or ggplot2 in R.
So it helps with the technical execution too.
Yes, this ties directly into this growing field people are calling AI-augmented data science. It's about significantly speeding up those often repetitive, sometimes tricky coding tasks, letting the analyst focus more on the interpretation and the meaning behind the data.
So it helps us find information, brainstorm ideas, understand data, and then it also helps us present it effectively. I'm thinking about the writing and editing side now.
Exactly right. It moves well beyond just basic grammar and spell checking.
Which are useful but limited.
Very limited. Gemini can do things like reformulate paragraphs to improve clarity or adopt a specific professional tone. It can help structure a complex report or an academic article by suggesting logical flow, section headings. It can even generate concise executive summaries from very lengthy documents.
That's a huge help. So if I've got this really dense paragraph in my introduction, maybe full of jargon, I could potentially ask it, take this paragraph and rewrite it to be more concise and impactful, maybe make it suitable for an audience of senior executives.
Precisely. That's a great example. It's about enhancing your communication, making it clearer and more effective, without losing your core message or your voice. It's a significant time saver and a real clarity booster.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly promising. Powerful, even. But, like with any powerful AI, we absolutely have to talk about accuracy, ethics, responsible use. How does Gemini help us maintain that critical edge? How do we ensure its outputs are actually trustworthy?
This is probably the most crucial part of the conversation. It's a non-negotiable step when leveraging any AI, really. And it's an area where Gemini's deep integration with Google Search becomes a really critical function for verification.
How so?
There's a specific feature you must always look for, and ideally activate the double-check response with Google option. It often looks like a little magnifying glass icon.
Okay, the double check button. What does it do?
It's brilliant, actually. It visually highlights different parts of the response Gemini gave you. It shows you which claims seem to be directly supported by sources found on the web, and which parts might be more based on the model's internal knowledge or inferences.
Ah, so it gives you a clue about the evidence base for each statement.
Exactly. It's a fundamental step towards building trust and accountability. But it doesn't stop there.
Right. So our role as researchers isn't diminished, it just shifts focus more towards verification.
Precisely. You have to take an active role. You should explicitly demand sources. Don't be afraid to prompt it with things like provide academic evidence or citations for that last statement.
Be demanding.
Be demanding about evidence. This directly tackles that challenge of hallucinations. When AI models sometimes invent facts or sources that sound plausible but aren't real.
Yeah, I've heard about that. It's a documented issue with LLMs, isn't it?
It is. There's research on it, like from JN's colleagues back
Yeah.
in 2023, that highlighted clearly Gemini's verification process, that double-check feature, is designed specifically to help mitigate this risk. But, and this is key, human oversight remains absolutely paramount. You can't skip that step.
Okay, that's a really crucial reminder. So while Gemini is incredibly powerful, maybe even transformative, it definitely doesn't eliminate the need for our own critical thinking, our own judgment. What other challenges or maybe future considerations should we keep firmly in mind when we start making this part of our regular workflow?
Well, first and foremost, I'd say never fully delegate. Don't hand over intellectual authorship or the final responsibility for factual accuracy to the AI. It's a collaborator, a powerful assistant, but it's not a replacement for your critical judgment and your ownership of the work.
Makes sense. What else?
Secondly, and this is important for all AI, really it's vital to recognize that these large language models are trained on vast data sets that reflect the real world.
And the real world contains biases.
Exactly. It inherently contains biases, social, cultural, gender biases, you name it. This means Gemini, like any AI trained on that data, can inadvertently perpetuate or even amplify those biases.
So it's not a perfectly neutral observer.
Not at all. It reflects the data it learned from, so it's crucial for you, the user, to be aware of this. Actively contrast the perspectives it gives you, seek out alternative viewpoints, and critically evaluate its outputs to ensure you're getting a balanced picture. Don't just take the first answer.
Right. Actively look for potential bias.
And another point. While Gemini excels at synthesizing known and available information very efficiently, the generation of genuinely novel, truly breakthrough knowledge, that still seems to be primarily a human function.
So it helps map the existing territory really well.
Extremely well. But you are still the explorer charting entirely new paths, asking the unprecedented questions. It's a collaborator in understanding what is, maybe less so in discovering what could be, if that makes sense.
It does. What about practical things like privacy?
Oh, absolutely critical. A very strong warning here. Never, ever upload confidential, proprietary, or sensitive personal data onto the platform.
Why is that?
Because your inputs, the things you type in, are often used by the company to improve the model. That's standard practice for many AI systems. So the confidentiality of your ongoing research, your client data, your internal strategy documents, that must always be the top priority. Don't put anything sensitive in there.
That seems like a non-negotiable principle for any professional using these tools. Full stop.
Full stop. And one final thought. This technology is evolving at an incredible pace. It's dizzying sometimes.
It really is. Things change month to month.
Exactly. Gemini's capabilities are advancing quickly. New features get added. Integrations might deepen, maybe with more Google Workspace tools down the line. So as professionals, we really have to commit to continuous learning.
Staying curious, keeping up.
Yeah. Staying curious, trying out new functionalities as they emerge, and being willing to adapt our workflows accordingly. What works best today might be even better, or perhaps different, tomorrow. You have to stay engaged with it.
This has been a really, truly illuminating deep dive. Thank you. It's so clear that Gemini isn't just another chatbot. It really positions itself as a genuine platform for intellectual productivity.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Its unique integration with Google's ecosystem, the potential for cognitive amplification we talked about, the methodological rigor it can offer if you use the verification tools properly, and just its remarkable versatility across the whole research cycle.
Yeah.
It makes it seem like an invaluable tool for, well, almost any professional dealing with information overload.
Yeah, stepping back to see the bigger picture, it feels like Gemini and tools like it are really starting to redefine what's possible in professional research and analysis.
Yeah.
It handles a lot of the heavy lifting, the time-consuming stuff.
Freeing us up.
Exactly. Freeing up your human intellect to focus on what humans do best. Creativity, deep critical analysis, asking tough questions, making ethical judgments, and generating those truly novel insights.
So in this landscape that's evolving so fast, the most powerful research probably isn't just about using AI, is it?
No, I don't think so. It's about the synergy, the blend. It's
Yes.
about combining human intellect with our unique capacity for genuine novelty, for critical questioning, for ethical consideration with AI's unparalleled speed and efficiency in processing information. That combination is where the real power lies.
So maybe the final provocative thought to leave our listeners with is this.
Go for it.
Thinking about that synergy, how will you listening harness Gemini's power? How will you use it to make your research more efficient, more robust, maybe more insightful, while also ensuring that your unique human insights, your critical judgment, your ethical compass continue to be the driving force behind discovery and pushing the boundaries of knowledge?
That's the question. How do you weave it in effectively and responsibly? It's something we'll all be figuring out.
Indeed. Lots to think about. Thanks again.
My pleasure.